Welcome to our video on locating rational numbers on a number line. Now, irrational numbers, which we're not going to talk about in this video, are still super fun. Numbers like pi and stuff, and e and square root of 2 and so forth. Those are irrational. Here we're just dealing with rational numbers. So that's numbers you would recognize as positive and negative whole or fraction numbers. So anyway, that's what we have here. Which point on the number line is greater than -4 but less than 0? So when they say greater, right, they're not talking about absolute value or distance. They're talking about greater value. So as you go to the right, values increase this way, right? So for example, increase. Any dot I pick a dot right here. If I move it a little bit this way, this has a higher value. I don't even know what the numbers are that I'm picking here, but I know as I go to the right, my values become higher. They increase. As I go to the left, my values decrease. So here when they say, which point on the number line is greater than -4? So which point has a higher value than -4? So let's find it. And then but less than 0. So here's 0, right? It's got to be less than it. So all these points to the left, the value decreases as you're going to the left. So they're all lower than 0. So H and J are out. And definitely cross those out when you're solving these to reduce the possibility of getting these wrong. And then just label. Well, if this is -6, this we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this has got to be -5, -4, -3, -2, -1. It's the only scale that fits here. So the only number that's greater than -4 and less than 0 is G. Here's -4. It's greater than it and it's less than 0. Some people pick F because they see it's further this way from 0, but it has a smaller number value. Right? -5 is less than -4. So the answer here is G. And they might try and trick you up a little bit. For example, they might say, let's just rescale this with F and G. So here's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, that's horrible. Sorry about that. This is 0, -1, -2, -3, and -4, and -5. Okay, so F is here, -5, and G was at -2. Okay, they might say, well, what value is where is -2.5? And they'll give you options here or here. What do you think? Well, if 0 is here, that means that the numbers this way from -2 have to be closer to 0, right? Because we're approaching 0. So in fact, this would be -1.5, and this would be -2.5 because it's further from 0. So when they ask you about half numbers on a number line, and you've got negatives, remember that as you're moving this way, the numbers are getting further from 0. So their absolute value, their distance is getting larger, right? So -2.5 is further from 0 than -2, but their values are decreasing. So if I asked, later on down the number line, where is -6.1? Well, it's going to be on this side of -6. Not this side, because this is going back towards 0. So these are all the -5 point something values, -4 point something, and so forth. But this would be -6.1. People are often tempted to pick this side, which is exactly what would happen with the positive numbers, right? With the positive numbers, it would be here's 0, here's 6. Well, 6.1, well, here's 5. 6.1 would be on this side of 6. But with the negatives, it's on the opposite side, so be careful about that. Alright, hope this helped.